Hello.
Hello.
Great, just got one more person to invite. Here he comes.
Ooh.
Aha. And we're in.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Astoundcast, episode 68.
So close.
So close yet, so far. Yeah, Rodney, we're waiting for the next episode.
Oh, goodness.
We don't know what
Yeah,
it's going
we're
to be about,
children.
but we're waiting.
We are
So how's
so
everybody
immature.
doing?
Not been too bad, actually. Although on Friday, I did have my COVID and flu vaccine at the same time. So
Oh,
yesterday,
no.
I was pretty much dead.
That's rough.
Yep, my arms were killing me.
How's it going, Roxanne?
Yeah, it's going all right over here. How about you?
Good. So how much more Disney Plus content have you caught up on since we talked last?
Not too much because I've had a lot of uni work to get through, and I'm going to be
Uh,
really busy for the next 2 weeks.
I hear you.
Oh, okay. Oh, goodness,
Hmm?
is that like now?
What?
Is the 2 weeks thing the thing that I'm thinking of?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. Do you want to explain what that is briefly?
Okay, so for my course, because I take journalism, we have to do a placement module. And I happened to get a placement to work at the BBC for 2 weeks.
Heck yeah!
So working at the radio station for 2 weeks.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have which it's mostly useless now. You know, my primary degree is in youth and family ministry, but my minor is actually in print journalism
Ooh.
because
Oh,
I did newspaper staff when I was in high school and loved it and wrote for the local paper here in town, which is, I say local paper in town. Huntsville's 500,000 people, so um,
whoa.
Wow.
but wrote humor columns and did newspaper staff and was the newspaper editor in high school and did some stuff in college and that kind of thing, and just really loved doing it. So that's awesome. That's a big deal, Roxanne. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never mind. We're gonna have to hear a lot more stories about you when you were younger, Rodney.
Yeah.
Well, that
Oh,
would that would fill up more podcasts, but I'm game.
haha.
We can
Awesome.
do that.
Oh, heck yeah. So, let's get down to why we're here.
Yeah.
Black Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Which should we tackle first?
Oh, I think we spend more time on Black Panther first, and then hit Guardians as a sweetener at the end.
Good call. Now, apologies, Roxanne, I don't believe you've seen this.
No, but I do not mind spoilers.
Okay,
Fair enough.
because there's a
Okay.
few.
Oh, there's a lot. So, what did you think of this film, Rodney?
It is. I haven't gone through and like looked at my notes and my lists of like which films are in my top 10 and why and all that kind of stuff, but it is definitely easily without looking in my top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
And I took time to kind of remove myself from like, okay, do I just like it because it was emotional because of Chadwick Boseman's death,
Mm,
or is it really an excellent film that kind of stands on its own? And it's a really good movie. It really the acting's amazing, the
yeah.
story is excellent, the characters are written well. It doesn't feel like it jumps around too much. It doesn't try too hard.
No.
It didn't force anything. It was, and it had some connections to the rest of the MCU, but it didn't.
Yeah.
it didn't force those or play into them too hard. It was just a really great story. And for as long as it was, I was, captivated the whole time. The whole time.
Yeah. Because it was only half an hour short of Endgame, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, maybe not even that far, but yeah, it was close, like 2 hours and 40 minutes, something like that.
That was it, yeah. And each of those minutes was very well spent.
Oh yeah.
They
How
didn't
about you?
throw anything in for the hell of it.
No, not at
Yeah,
all.
I absolutely loved the film. I loved the way they paid tribute to Chadwick. Obviously, Namor and Talokan was amazing. Like, can I
Oh
just
yeah.
say, Talokan looked amazing.
Yeah, they did an awesome job with that. I was
Wow.
really excited to see, not necessarily in a Marvel versus DC kind of capacity, but just how is Marvel going to tackle underwater scenes
Yeah.
in their way, rather than the way that DC really went to great lengths to make it their world.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, it was like they put the Mayan culture at the bottom of the sea. It's just great.
Yeah.
And then didn't, like, if they're capable of living underwater, and they're like, then when they talk like, you can hear them like normal. There's
Yeah.
not anything crazy about it. There's not anything. The one thing that I thought was really well thought out, I say really well thought out, you could tell they put thought into it, was the uh and I forget how did they call them, because they're people from Talokan, but they're called the Talokanil. That's it. I want to make sure I
Yeah.
do it correctly. The Talokanil. Though they are regular, whatever their regular skin color is what they are underwater.
Mm.
And then when they are out of water, their
That
skin
blue.
turns blue
Yeah.
because their skin's deprived of oxygen,
Yeah.
and they can't pull oxygen from the air
No.
like Namor can. And so
Yeah.
they they're that was just an interesting, like, okay, we need to think through this in a way,
Mm.
and they didn't have to like explain it right off the bat, and they waited to explain it until they were trying to figure out how to stop Namor, and that's
Yeah.
when they started explaining it, and they left it up to the audience to figure it out, which I think they need to do more of in movies, is not just spoon feed you everything. It's like, you know,
Oh, I know.
make some rewatchability and make it interesting that way. So that was a really cool little feature. But then the little ways that they
Mm.
incorporated Mayan culture into, and what their world might look like underwater, was really,
Yeah.
really well done. It was a totally different world that you immediately felt, you know, pardon the pun, but immersed in.
Oh, yeah. 100,000%. It was incredible. I definitely think it was the strongest way that they could have ended Phase 4. Phase 4,
Yeah. Oh,
it
absolutely.
needed this to finish it off. Because as we know,
Yep.
Phase 4 has had its hits and misses, and this one has definitely been its biggest hit thus far.
Mm-hmm. And there were a
So,
lot of conversations about, I understand people saying, oh, Phase 4 seems disconnected and disjointed and this and that, but
but it
there is an
isn't.
element, and this movie, oh yeah, no, not at all. And this movie is, I think this movie is good proof of, or it is the peak example of what they've been trying to do all of Phase 4, which is introduce new worlds, new
Yeah.
characters, and expand the universe in a way that um, is more unique, not just in terms of storytelling, but in visuals and in characters. And I think the payoff, when all of these characters come back together in phases 5 and 6 in different ways, the payoffs are
Mm.
going to be much better and the scenarios are going to be much more interesting than what we saw early on. So
Yeah.
I thought they did a good job in this movie of doing that, and
Mm.
with Riri Williams
Yes.
and and with Namor, and just and then using the CIA with Everett Ross and Valentina, and having them
Yeah.
in there was it was just a really good way to tie all these little pieces together that I think are going to pay off way more in the future than this movie even like went into detail to explain. It didn't have to. It was able to tell its story, and then other movies can pull from those things later on.
Yeah. Now, I was going to actually bring up Riri and Valentina. Well, with Valentina, isn't this the first time we've seen her in a movie?
Yeah, she was in the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
Yeah. Oh,
and
didn't
she's
she
at
show up
the
at the end of Black Widow? Yeah.
she shows up at the end of Black Widow in a bonus scene with
Okay.
Yelena.
So, but this is her first full-blown role in a movie.
Yeah, and you
Which is,
get to find out what organization she's tied with too.
yeah. And I do want to ask you, what did you think of Riri?
Um, as a character, and an extension of carrying on Tony's work and things like that within the MCU, I thought she was excellent.
Yeah.
It didn't feel forced, and it didn't feel
Nope.
like they were trying too hard to be like, oh, don't forget this is all Tony. It was just honestly, I thought she would fit really well. Her story is going to fit really well into the way they're going to do Armor Wars. Um,
Yeah.
with her kind of stepping into roles. I liked all of. I actually liked her original suit more than I liked the one that she creates in Wakanda with Wakandan tech. Um,
Yeah.
it felt more in line with her character, and I liked that they didn't use that as a springboard for like, hey, now you have your suit. But that Shuri says at the end of the movie, like, you can't leave with this suit, right? Um,
Yeah.
so she's still gonna have to blaze her own path, but you saw what she was capable of. Um, and honestly, I of all the things that I loved about the movie, that was the only thing that I was like, eh. I wasn't a fan of her Wakandan like Iron Man suit
Yeah.
or Ironheart
Same.
suit. It was nice and it was shiny, but it wasn't anything that you
Yeah.
were like, oh yes, this is it. Um,
Like, I want to see a Riri Williams suit. I want to
yep,
see her Ironheart because it will look a lot like Iron Man.
yeah, I think it's gonna be
Because
really
as we
good.
saw, yeah, and there's every part of me that hopes she uses the Tony AI from the comics.
Yeah,
If she
yeah, that
does,
would
I
be
will
cool.
cry.
That would be interesting.
Es-
I
Especially if
like
it's
the
RDJ as the voice.
oh, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? A way to kind of get him
Yep,
back.
that'd be
That's a
amazing.
cool thought, man. That's a
And
cool theory.
actually, in the comics, when Tony is the AI, he is actually eventually put into one of the old Iron Man suits, and his face was Tony. He created Tony's
That's fun.
face. So every part of me is hoping that that happens at some point, just to see him one final time.
That'd be kind of cool.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. The I did like the talking about those AIs. I did like the the addition of Shuri's AI in her lab.
yeah,
It also made
mm.
it was a good payoff. It was a good payoff for Riri to be using it later on, and it
Oh
was
yeah,
also an interesting storytelling piece for Shuri's story because the name of that AI is Griot,
yeah,
Griot, which is in African culture is what they call their like storytellers in their villages. Like in
yep,
small villages, a griot would be a the person that keeps the historical record of the tribe. And
Yeah.
that ends up becoming, we some places use that terminology for like people that like a docent at a museum, or a librarian at a library. The people that know more about those things forwards and backwards than anybody else. That term gets thrown around for those people too. The griot is the preserver
Yeah.
of history, and so the pairing of where she is this new school warrior, new school leader, and she doesn't have wisdom around herself. The fact that she created an artificial intelligence that has all the knowledge that she needs and gave it that name, and then finds a way to combine the two later on, was a really interesting plot point. And they also reinforce it with like her relationship with not only who she sees in the uh, ancestral
Ancestral
plane
plane.
when she takes the heart-shaped
Oh,
herb, but also with M'Baku after her mother passes away, which is that wisdom relationship where she has people. I mean, she even kind of fights with him at one point. She's like, "I thought you wanted to kill Namor, and now you're saying we
yeah.
need to protect him." And M'Baku kind of gets to be that more kingly figure. Um, and Shuri has to decide: am I going to lead my people, or am I going to protect my people? Because
Yeah.
even with the first Black Panther movie, that was always the struggle. And that's the
Yeah.
problem that T'Challa had with his father was you you put protecting you put being a warrior and protecting Wakanda over leading your people, and you showed that when you
Yeah.
killed your brother. Like when you sent your brother away, and then you kind of turned on him. Like
Mm.
it's hard to be both, and she had to kind of
Yeah.
figure out how to be both. And that whole scene in the ancestral plane is just kind of the peak of that. And I thought that was an amazing way to bring Killmonger back into the story.
Yeah, that one threw me off.
Yeah, oh, that was great, man. And it let people know, like, okay, yes, he's dead. He's not hiding someplace. He's gone. But
Yeah.
I had all these conflicted feelings about, like, okay, so Ryan Coogler's definitely telling us here, uh, not only is he Wakandan, but he was a legitimate, at least by spiritual terms, a legitimate leader of Wakanda for a time,
Yeah.
because he's in her vision.
Mm.
Um, so that was an interesting little. I mean, you can't really get around that. Like, you can't say,
No.
well, it was just what she saw and what her consciousness wanted her to see. No, because if anything, she'd want to
No.
see her mother. She'd want to
Or
see her
T'Challa.
brother. Like, that's not, you can't play that card. Like, this is
No.
this is legit spiritual realm stuff, and this is who
Yeah.
was there, and this is who talks to her. It was excellent. It was great.
Yeah. Now, I can't lie. For those first few seconds, I thought they were going to CGI T'Challa.
Yeah, I wondered who they were going to show. I was like, okay, who is this? Um,
Yeah.
and I honestly wasn't really sure. And I thought, are they gonna, are they gonna kind of show him in a different way, or maybe use a deleted scene
Yeah.
and kind of put him in it or something? And but that was perfect,
Yeah.
showing him that way. I would love to go back and watch it again to see if he has, because I just now thought about it. In the ancestral plane, does he have all the little markings on his chest from where he conquered all those nations? Like, all of his confirmed kills, are those still all over him,
Oh.
or have they been removed?
I think they were still on him.
Yeah, that would be an interesting little point of, oh, that's interesting that they kept them, or interesting that they removed them.
I
Um,
think they did keep them.
yeah, but their conversation was really great, um, and then her having to decide what kind of Black Panther mask she wants to wear, and
Mm.
she picks one. She picks one that is a little bit of both worlds. It's like it's
Yeah.
her, but it's a little bit of Jaguar, but it's a little bit of the other, and that she
Mm.
wasn't a very skilled fighter. I
No.
thought was really good too, because she's not. I mean, she's got some training, but she's not like T'Challa. She's not like the Dora Milaje. She's different, and
No.
so figuring out how to let those characters be themselves was really great. And I don't know about you, I liked Namor better than I liked Killmonger
Yeah.
as a villain.
Me too.
Yeah, I thought his reasons were more pure,
Yeah.
and they didn't come from as much of a place of revenge as I felt like Killmonger's did.
Yeah.
Which is okay, but you know, Killmonger kept talking about this is to protect my people. This is to protect my people, but you're not protecting your people when you give weapons to people that are arguably not your people. Like,
Yeah.
which people are your people? Is it the Wakandan people, or is it the African American community you grew up with? Like, or are you
Yeah.
saying that they're all your people? Because none of those answers really. I didn't believe any of those answers when he would say that.
No.
I'm doing this for my people. Okay,
No.
well, which people? Because you're inconsistent, which makes for a good
Yeah.
villain. I mean, villains are conflicted, and they're kind of seeing the world from a skewed perspective, which that's really what they go for in Black Panther.
Mm.
But when Namor's talking about I'm doing this to protect my people, I don't see any other way to, he lived through, and some of it is misconstrued because he removed himself from the world for so long that the first sign of intrusion into his world he saw as a threat. Like,
Yeah.
he saw that vibranium detector at the bottom of the ocean as they're going to find and he overreacts. They're going to find vibranium, then they're going to find us, then they're going to kill us, and that's because that's what happened to me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And Shuri's whole thing, and even T'Challa's whole thing, was you you need to have faith in people, and you need to
Yeah.
give people a chance until they give you a reason not to.
Yeah.
And his answer was strike first, which even for her was, even for Shuri talking to Namor, was like, if you do this, your only solution is to wipe everybody out, because if you don't,
Yeah.
you're doing exactly what you don't want. You're going to get exactly what you don't want, which is you've revealed yourself to the land people, and you've done it in such a violent way that they have no reason but to fight back.
Wipe you out. Yeah.
Yeah. So trust people until they give you a reason not to. And I mean, I thought they towed that line very, very well.
Oh yeah.
Right down to, at the end, even though Namor's reasoning is, when he's talking to Namora, is, yeah, we're gonna hold this truce, but the Wakandans are gonna get attacked and they're gonna ask for our help. I still thought that was a more logical position, and it was a more
Yeah.
defensible position, even for a guy that you could say, well, he's a bad guy because he hurt people. That's still a more defensible
Yeah.
position than I'm going to arm people so that they have a bigger stick than the other guy, like Killmonger wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so I like that. And then Tenoch Huerta, dude, that man knocked that role out of the park. Like,
Oh yeah.
as far as like characters that, they were born to play that role, or like, I can't see anybody else in that
Mm.
role. I don't even know who else I would put in that role, but now I don't want to. That's the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they just, and you look back over some of Phase 4, and Marvel's done that with a lot of characters. Kamala
Yeah.
Khan, Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight, um, uh, Simu Liu as Shang-Chi.
Even Agatha.
Yeah, they did that with a lot of characters. They're like, yeah, these are great casting calls.
Yeah.
It was good. It
Just
was
got a
good stuff.
just got a voice message here.
Okay.
Well, if you guys paid attention, you'd notice that Namor, right at the end of the movie, actually, it's kind of like he has a double agenda. Like, hey, we're going to take this truce for now, but then we're going to strike when we have the opportunity, when everybody else is at their weakest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I
Mm,
meant. Is he said he was kind of saying, okay, if Wakanda wants, we're going to ally ourselves with Wakanda, knowing full well that when this turns south, Wakanda is going to get attacked first, and they're going to have
yeah.
to ask us for help, and then we'll do what we want to do. Like they're gonna have to look for help from somebody that they know is stronger, and that's our chance. Like,
Yeah.
but even then, that still makes him more likable and more believable than trying to redeem
Then
somebody that
Killmonger.
just was like, yeah, that was just like, um, this is the only way I know how to defeat people. I
Yeah.
think Namor had both of those things within him. He just felt more like a king, man. I mean, like they did
Mm,
that so well, so well. Um, and I
mm,
wouldn't be surprised if when push comes to shove in a later movie or something, you have some kind of civil war between those people in Talokan, where like
yeah.
Atuma and Namora don't agree with what Namor wants to do, and there's kind of an internal struggle there. Um,
Mm,
that's going to be interesting to see. But again, you talk about Phase 4. For me, the running theme was not grief, like some people want to say. That's just what's most prevalent in their mind, and that's what makes for good drama. But one of the themes of Phase 4 is, and I was saying this long before they announced what the Avengers movies titles were going to
mm,
be. Um, they have been showing you and introducing you to secret places, secret people, secret worlds,
mm-hmm.
and then helping people adopt secret identities again. Um, like kind of retconning a little bit of Peter Parker to make him an
Oh,
unknown
oh.
again.
Okay. There we are.
Sorry.
Yeah. Your song just dropped out for a
It's
second, but you're back.
Oh, you hear me?
Yep, you're good now.
Okay. Where'd you miss me? Where'd you lose me?
It was only for like a brief second. I was able to get what you were saying. It was like
Yeah,
2, 3 seconds.
all of those elements in Phase 4 are building you up for these different places that are hidden and secret from the rest of civilization.
Yeah.
Like um, everything else was very public. Iron Man, Tony Stark, very public. Um, Natasha being, I mean, the even adding that to Phase 4 with the Red Room still being around, and there
Yeah.
still being Black Widows and things like that. Like they really pressed into, hey, there's still a secret society out here, more so than they did in Phase 1, 2, and 3 with Black Widow. Same thing with Hawkeye.
Yeah.
He worked for an organization, and then you find out that like Kingpin's around. There's all these other kind of hidden agenda things and secretive organizations at foot. Um, that's the multiverse stuff. I mean, it's all, that thread is everywhere through all this. And
Yeah.
when that world starts gaining traction and it comes into conflict with the known universe, that's where your battle's going to be, and that's where it's going to be fought. But it's going to be fought by all these secret people that
Yeah.
all of a sudden you have all these people coming out of the woodwork to fight different people, or different
Yeah.
gang variants, or you know all that kind of stuff.
Now, I
It's
just
going
want
to
to
be
ask you
interesting.
real
That's my
briefly.
take on it, at least.
Yeah. Where would you say this fits into your ratings of the Phase 4 films?
Oh, this movie, it's
Yeah.
it's it's close with I don't know. I would probably put it. I would and I'm. It's probably because I'm a bigger Spider-Man fan. I'd have to put it right behind Spider-Man, but just barely.
Ooh.
Um, and only because of the, and you can call it a fan service moment or whatever, but like the having Toby and Andrew reprise their roles as Spider-Man in that movie
Yeah.
was epic. I mean, that's 20 years of Spider-Man storytelling that they threw in seamlessly.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. And it was an awesome movie. Now Wakanda Forever, much more visually stunning, better writing, in that regard. It definitely has some high points. There's they need
Yeah.
to get an Oscar for something in that movie.
Oh,
Something.
absolutely. Yeah.
Angela Bassett was awesome. Letitia Wright did a great job. But honestly, she was the weakest. Letitia Wright was probably the weakest of all of the characters in that movie as far as
Yeah.
their gravitas on screen. I mean, you wanted to hear her story. You wanted to see her come into her own, and you were connected to her story. But like, as far as acting performances and like, man, everybody around her made her look good because they're
Yeah.
so good. Winston Duke and Angela Bassett and just all of them. Tanakh Huerta, just they're great. They're great.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Now,
definitely top two. It's close.
yeah, for me, it's going to be 3.
Ooh.
Because of the same reason for you, Spider-Man No Way Home is at the top, but in the middle of them is Doctor Strange for the same reason as Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that
Professor
does have
X.
some great moments. It
Yeah.
does, and I'm a
Like,
huge Sam Raimi fan, so all those horror elements are right up my alley.
yeah.
But it has a tendency to feel a little disjointed because of all that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it is. I love it, but it is like weirdness where you just start the movie at 0 and you just keep cranking the knob until it breaks.
Yep.
It's great. It's awesome.
And, as I said, Patrick Stewart. You can't go wrong with that
Oh
man.
yeah, yeah, that was great. But
You
and
you just
I like
cannot.
Anson Bolt. I like Anson Bolt too.
Anson Mount, yeah,
Anson Mount,
as
yeah, as
Black
Black
Bolt.
Bolt. Yeah,
Ah,
I threw those
yeah.
together, didn't I?
Yep.
He's a great actor. He's really underappreciated.
Oh
And
yeah.
I hope they utilize him later because he really, that Inhuman show was awful, but he did a
Yeah.
great job. He really did a
How?
great job.
And okay, if you like Anson Mount, I'm going to recommend something to you right now. Roxanne, you're probably not going to be surprised by this.
Oh dear.
Star Trek.
Yep, Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. If you want a good Anson Mount performance, good God, please watch that show.
We'll have to
He is
recommend that as well.
I'll watch that
He
one.
is.
I'll give you one that's a good it's a good education for a British guy on what the Wild West was like. Um,
Okay.
AMC has had this show called Hell on Wheels.
Oh, I've heard of that.
With Anson Mount in it, and he is phenomenal in that show. And I'm not one for westerns at all, but he knocks it out of the park in that show. It's fantastic.
But honestly, I would definitely recommend Strange New Worlds if you want
I'll check it out.
an impeccable, and it's on Paramount Plus.
Oh yeah, I can watch that.
Cool. It's really good. Only 10 episodes.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
I was looking
season
back
2's
at
coming out next year, though.
Before we end up switching gears, I was trying to look through my Wakanda Forever notes of some things
Okay.
that I just really liked. I mean, there were some good Easter eggs in there, but not nothing earth shattering. There was a couple of references to Chadwick Boseman's birth date. It was license plates and stuff. I did not realize, like, oh my gosh, that's rough. But they don't explain what T'Challa died of. At the beginning, it's just, hey, he's got an illness and he's dying. And if you at the end of the film, there's that reveal, and there's a line about T'Challa preparing us for his death.
Yeah.
That line is actually taken from the first Black Panther movie, where T'Chaka tells T'Challa in the ancestral plane, he says a good father prepares his son for his death.
Oh.
Oh yeah, and so them throwing that line back out was a really cool nod. But after his death off screen, she's trying to synthesize the heart-shaped herb and that kind of thing because they've all been destroyed. And she's trying to save her people, protect her people, but also protect her brother. The silent Marvel intro really got me.
That was
and it just felt like this is Marvel's way of giving the fans and kind of making everybody in the theater have a moment of silence for Chadwick Boseman.
yeah.
So every time that movie plays, there's a moment of silence for Chadwick Boseman, which I thought was really excellent. And then the funeral felt like more of a funeral for Chadwick than it did for T'Challa. That was really cool. Little things in there. I loved that that the Talokanil are where your mythology for sirens comes from.
Yeah.
They have a siren call that draws people into the ocean. That was really cool. Which would beg the question: the Mayan culture is not older, even in this movie. The Mayan culture is not older than Ulysses, Odysseus, the Iliad, Homer, those things. So if they were saying that like siren calls, that some of that mythology may come from these the Talokan people doing this thing, is that something that they learned and there's other people out there that we haven't? I don't know. It made me ask those questions because it was a cool way to work in that mythology, but that mythology predates the backstory that we got in Wakanda Forever. So they may not ever answer that. That may be me, pulling at threads, but I asked the question. I did like the time jump from T'Challa dying to everything else happening. It was a full year because it gave it made it feel, it didn't make it feel like the year time jump made it feel like, okay, it feels normal for these guys to get involved with something else rather than, oh, he just died last week and now we're just going to go to war. Even on screen, giving a time jump felt necessary. Questioning some of your Wakanda mythology, given the fact that the nation of Talokan even exists. Like, they have vibranium, so who else has vibranium? They kind of have to question their whole mythos. Riri being at MIT made me think, is she going to meet MJ and Ned, because they go to MIT
please.
now. I mean, it's a big campus. They may not, but that possibility is always there. The fact that Ross and Allegra were married was awesome. That they just kind of threw that. That was interesting. And then this was the part I was really wanting to talk to you about. I know it's going to drive you nuts, and I know it's going to pop a balloon in something that you're really looking forward to, but I feel like I need to do it. So
go on.
Riri and Shuri have been held captive by the Talokanil, right? And when Riri says that she's going to go with them, she's going to go with Namor, and they say, here, put on this outfit. Riri makes a comment about, you're not really going to do that, are you? That's how, don't you watch movies? That girl in Indiana Jones, Belle from Beauty and the Beast, Princess Leia. She mentioned those characters. That means that any hopes that you have for a Star Wars MCU crossover just got dashed. Because in the MCU universe, Star Wars is a movie. Not the first time that it's been mentioned, by the way.
No,
Spider-Man mentions it in Civil War, but they mentioned it again in another movie, and I thought, yep, that's it. There's one mention is coincidence. Two is that's a nail in the coffin. That's like, nope, it's not real. But I thought, as soon as I heard that line, I thought, Cameron's really going to hate that.
But on the other hand, we did have the scenes of the actual Star Wars universe appearing in What If and Doctor Strange. So we kind of have, like, once again, one is coincidence, two is not so much. And that's happened twice. So perhaps both are the case. It's a film and actually an existing universe. Which would be insane, but it's not. Again, with the multiverse, anything is possible. So it could be both.
Somebody, and they're like, we thought these were movies, and they're like, no, they're not movies. But
what we have considered is it both.
Yeah.
So I've still got a little bit of hope. Just a little bit, but it's there.
And then the end scene, I'm excited to see where that goes. I think they could, with the multiverse, it made me think. So for Roxanne, we're going to give spoilers here, but that bonus scene where Shuri shows up in Haiti to Nakia's house, and she's going to burn her funeral garments because she's done mourning her mother and her brother, and she gets introduced to T'Challa's son. And his name is actually T'Challa the second. But it made me. I think I saw this as a meme. It was probably a joke, but in Avengers Endgame, when they're trying to test the time travel theory, and they with Tony's words, they pushed time through Scott Lang rather than pushing Scott through time. They basically aged him up and down at will. What if you just did that with T'Challa's son, and now he's old enough to be Black Panther? It's like you don't have to wait, and you don't have to recast him, and you don't have to do a time jump. Just we're just going to age you up. But no, that was a cool addition, and honestly a really fitting way to recast the character without actually recasting the character. So I mean, I don't know what you or other people thought about it, but I thought it was very well thought out, very well written.
Now, I just want to briefly touch on something before we go to Guardians of the Galaxy. Saw something earlier on today. It's now been rumored that Kate Bishop could be showing up in Quantumania.
Ooh.
Yeah. Which I really hope's true, because I've missed Kate
so
much.
She's a great character.
Yeah. And ready for a bombshell? It's been nearly a year since Hawkeye finished.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, you're totally
know.
Right. Yeah, because it was December. It was a Christmas show.
Just before Christmas, yeah.
Man.
Yeah. It's crazy. Insane. So, Guardians of the Galaxy holiday.
Yeah, tell me what you thought about it, man. I'm interested to hear. I'm curious.
It was brilliant. Drax and Mantis were the chaotic duo I was hoping they were going to be.
Oh, yeah.
It was insane. Kevin Bacon was just an added bonus.
Oh, it's great.
But
It was great.
I thought the guy that Peter always talked about was David Hasselhoff.
He said that Peter Hasselhoff he always envisioned David Hasselhoff being his father.
Oh, right.
But he talks about Kevin Bacon. He talks about Kevin Bacon with Gamora when they're in nowhere before they meet the Collector. And there's a scene where they do something, they like crash a plane or they do something, and Gamora looks over at him and goes, "We're just like Kevin Bacon."
Yep.
So
Oh
the
yeah.
funny thing is, I wrote down the plot. I can give you the plot of the whole thing in like one sentence, maybe two. The Guardians meet Kevin Bacon, and now they're friends with Kevin Bacon. Like that's what you need to know.
I mean, that is literally that is it.
Yeah, it was a blast. I mean, there were some little things in there that James Gunn said that this was required viewing before Guardians 3. And I would agree with that to some point, but only because you don't want certain spoilers. Like the Guardians now own Nowhere. It's they bought it from the Collector. And then the fact that and you get the name of Quill's ship. What else do you get? And then the big reveal right at the beginning that Drax already knows about, but then Quill finds out about later, was that Mantis is Quill's sister. But call me crazy though, I need to go back and watch Guardians 2 to be sure. And I'm going to pause some scenes and stuff. Maybe it was just me, but when I watched Guardians 2 and you show up at Ego's planet and the only other person with him is Mantis, and you find out that Ego has been capturing his children to see if they have powers. Maybe it was just me. My mind already made that connection.
Me too.
I already went to, like, whenever I heard it, I was like, I didn't think that was a secret, because I had already gone to, like, well, why else would Ego have this person? I mean, yeah, she's got powers, but how else would he have found her if
she wasn't one of his kids? Yeah.
If she wasn't delivered to him,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's where that was my logical explanation for how did she get to the planet. I guess I just filled in some of those gaps myself. But I want to go back and watch it to see if maybe I saw something somewhere that I went, oh yeah, that's where I pulled that from. But it didn't feel like that big of a reveal to me. It was like, oh yeah, well that makes sense. You just didn't know it. But that was really cool. And there were a few little Easter eggs in that one. Flula Borg, if you know who Flula Borg is. He's the bartender at the bar that they go to when they first get to Earth. Drax attacking the Transformer or the GoBot.
The GoBots.
And being like, GoBots killed my parents. Or my cousin, killed my cousin. And but that's a little Easter egg, because GoBots look exactly like X-Men Sentries. And that's how his cousin died. And then there's a billboard for a movie for Kingo's Christmas. So Kumail Nanjian's character from Eternals has a Christmas movie. And then all the other little, there were some other Easter eggs in there, like when they show the map of the stars. There's like Margot Robbie, John Cena, and then Kevin Bacon gets a phone call from Kira Sedgwick. He's actually married to Kira Sedgwick in real life. His Oh, what else? There's a couple of other ones in there. Oh, my favorite one though, the song that the band sings for Quill at the beginning of the movie
Yeah.
when they're saying, "This is what we figured out about Christmas from what you've told us and what we've researched." They have a line about Santa Claus must have epic superpowers because he's able to go to every house in one night.
Yeah.
Santa Claus is in the Marvel Comics universe. Santa Claus is actually a mutant, and he's an Omega level mutant with like all kinds of crazy powers. So the fact that they like made a nod to that was really cool. And then the little animated portions with some of the backstory with Yondu and
Yeah.
Quill. You realize the little figurine that Quill gives Yondu is in even in the first Guardians movie. That's why Yondu has those characters on his console where he drives, where he drives the ship.
Ah.
He's got because the little troll that Quill swaps out for the Power Stone. Yondu ends up putting that on his console right next to this little glass diamond dude that he gets from the guy on Nova Prime.
Oh, wow.
And then he puts it right next to the little character that Quill gave him for Christmas in this movie. So he pulled that. James Gunn pulled that from one of the earlier ones and kind of made that part of their story. And that's where Quill gets his guns from because Yondu gave them to him. But again,
that was really cool to see.
Yeah. And they made some DC references again, which I thought were funny, especially for James Gunn. Was funny.
Yeah. Like, I just want to actually bring up a couple of things about this thing. Well, for one, the GoBots.
Yeah.
Right. Get ready for me to beat a dead drum again.
Go for it.
Well, that confirms that the GoBots exist in the MCU. If a GoBot killed Drax's cousin, that literally confirms they exist.
That's just what he calls. Well, I guess if he calls them GoBots, yeah.
Oh no.
I mean, I suppose we're gonna have to wait for official confirmation on that. But if it does get officially confirmed, that confirms something else. Okay. Something that I've been saying for a long time since I realized it. Transformers also exist in the MCU.
No, we are not doing this theory again. We are not going through this theory again.
I mean, the reason being is that a few years ago, Hasbro did a crossover comic between the Transformers and the GoBots.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
If the actual GoBots exist in the MCU, that does at least give us the possibility that the Transformers are out there somewhere.
Well, and the fact that they have a multiverse just gives everybody permission to go, well, it's a multiverse. Anything can happen. Well,
don't give him conspiracy theories. This is not going to help with his giant board of theories.
I mean, it isn't much of a theory.
I'm just multiverse is since we can just throw out wild theories about the multiverse. I'm going to make my own theory as a pompous American. In one multiverse somewhere, the United States men's team wins the World Cup.
I mean
that's a bit far-fetched.
Yeah, that.
Let's not get carried away now.
I mean,
I think the Transformer thing is
the
more
US have proved they're good at drawing. Like the US have proven they're good at drawing.
Oh goodness!
We have another. Oh, whoops! Is that it? Oh, okay. It was.
Well, you also have to remember, Transformers comics were originally printed under the Marvel label back in the 80s or 90s, I think, or 90s. I mean, ish.
Oh no! Yeah, don't you give him confirmation.
Well,
Fueling the
no, I
fire.
actually,
Stop
No!
it.
I learned that one myself a few
Cam,
years
please.
ago. Um, and actually, you're getting this. In the third issue of the Transformers of the original run, Spider-Man made a cameo.
I swear. Come on.
I'm just waiting for the day where this actually happens now. Like,
I'm waiting
I
for the
don't
day
think
that you
I
get a
need to.
giant pinboard, but you just
Like,
end up doing everything connecting with red string.
I mean, you know, I don't think I need to do this. I think all these movie studios are doing this themselves. Like,
Oh yeah.
they're definitely planning something.
Well, I liked this movie. You know, when I read that like, oh, there's not going to be a villain, I thought, oh, that's going to be interesting. It's going to be refreshing.
Yeah.
And it was a good story. It was fine without a villain. I did have a moment where I thought, okay, where's the conflict?
Mm.
There's no conflict here. But it didn't detract from the story, and I wouldn't put this in the category of like, you know, like Ewok Christmas special, Star Wars Christmas special or something. It didn't bomb and it wasn't bad. It was good.
No.
But I think they had to give you some stuff. I wonder if it was good because we like those characters, and it might have it was only good because it works with those characters, right? Like, and because it has some connection to, you get some character development from these other stories. So it was, it might not have worked with other characters, is what I'm saying. But for these characters, for the Guardians, and for, you know, how goofy it was, and then going and kidnapping Kevin Bacon and having Mantis, you know, kind of lull him into like, oh, this is totally fine. You know, right down to Kraglin, whenever Kevin Bacon's phone rings and Kraglin's like, oh yeah, we've got dishes that give you cell service up to 400 million light years.
Huh.
Like, was like, oh, okay. Like, you know, if they have jump points and they can survive in the vacuum of space, sure, they can make phone calls.
I
Like,
mean,
just goofy
that is
stuff.
true.
It was funny. And yeah, it was just fun to watch. And but that's what, and I know some people are, you know, we're back in the middle of a news cycle where, you know, Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese and all these guys are like, you know, Marvel movies aren't movies, they're not cinema, they're not art, they're not they're not movie stars, blah blah blah. Like, you know, do you want to go to the movies because you want to see a particular star, or do you go to the movies because you want to be entertained, because you want a good story?
Yeah.
And you can say what you want. These are good stories. They're fun stories.
Yeah.
And people enjoy the characters and they get invested in them. And, you know, I mean, if you say that about, if you're going to say that about these movies, you also have to say it about Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Because Disney has just exploded that universe in a good way. You know, with Andor, with Mandalorian, and those are good shows. They're not.
Yeah.
You know, and did I watch them because, oh, this celebrity is going to be in them? No, I watched them because Star Wars is a compelling story, and I want to see where it goes next. It's the same thing with Marvel, and that's why I think you can do stuff like a Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special and get away with it, because you're not beholden to having to make some specific type of art, or make some kind of Oscar worthy, you know, commentary on society. It's just, hey, you want to go to the movies and be entertained and, you know, escape for a little while? Here you go.
Yeah. Art is subjective.
Yep.
But
what do you
I just
think
also
about
say
the
that those
Christmas
guys
presents
have
at the
definitely.
end?
Oh, they were brilliant.
Because there's one
But
in particular
also,
that was gold.
which one specifically?
Oh, Bucky's the present to Rocket.
Yep, I was like, oh my god, Bucky is gonna be furious.
Rocket has his Wakandan arm now. So I
But on
want
the
to
other
know.
hand, no
Oh
pun
gosh,
intended,
that
on
was
the
good.
other hand, Bucky doesn't.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious to see. Uh, I mean, he's going to pop up in Thunderbolts. He's going to pop up in. He should. He should pop up in Captain America: New World Order.
Hmm.
That he might pop up in some other stuff too. But how did he lose his arm? Where did it go? I mean, that's going to be
And
funny.
has he got a new one?
Yeah, that's going to be great.
Um,
It was all the little payoffs were funny, and right down to speaking of the whole Quentin Tarantino Martin Scorsese thing. When Drax and Mantis discover that Kevin Bacon is not some big hero on Earth, but he's just an actor, and they're like disgusted by him, like we hate actors. Actors are awful. Actors are disgusting. I mean, that couldn't have come out at a better time
oh yeah.
than if you scripted it, because it's like they're thumbing their nose at anybody that would say that stuff. It's great. I love it.
But that is another two things I want to touch on. One,
Okay.
those directors have definitely blacklisted themselves from the MCU.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, and they they would say, well, we don't want to do anything anyway. Okay.
But like, yeah, you do.
You may it's it's easy. This sounds awful. It's easy to have that kind of soapbox when you're already a multimillionaire and you've made your legacy
Yeah.
doing something else. But you can say that and be like, "Well, I would never do a Marvel movie." Well, guess what? Marvel doesn't want you to do a Marvel movie because
Yeah.
your type of movie wouldn't do good with
Yeah.
Marvel.
And not to mention, Avatar: Way of the Water is so expensive that it's going to have to make I think 12 billion just to break even.
I've heard lots of different numbers. It's going to be interesting. I've heard a lot of. I have no doubt that it's going to be visually stunning, and it's probably going to be a good story. But he waited too long to put it out, man.
And who wanted a sequel?
Yeah, true.
I mean, I didn't even really like the first one.
Yeah, it was. Now the graphics and the CG and the whole deal, that was amazing. That was
but
worth
the film
price
itself
of
was
admission.
just.
But the story was like, I've heard this before.
Yeah, and again, who actually asked for a sequel? Like, I mean, okay, but the other thing I wanted to touch on was how is James Gunn going to be able to do this whole Guardians of the Galaxy thing now? Being the CEO of the DC film franchise.
I think most of Guardians 3 is already done.
I think it is ready to go now. I think he's just got to actually get the thing out.
Yeah, I think most of it is already done. At least the parts that I bet you all of the filming is probably already done for it. And he he might be leaving some of the editing up to people, or just coming back. There's probably somebody he really trusts to do some of that stuff if it's not totally done. But
oh god, I've just checked James Gunn's Instagram to give an example of how weird it looks seeing all the DC stuff and all the Guardians stuff.
Yeah.
Put up a post 2 hours ago of that GoBot standing next to an actual GoBot, and the caption is canon.
Oh.
Oh god! The GoBots actually exist.
Okay.
I'm done.
There we go.
Cam got it.
Yeah, yes. Let's go. Oh, that is marvelous. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that the Transformers do exist. It just means that it is now possible.
There's a much more definitive line to be drawn from one to the other.
Literally 2 hours ago.
He planned this probably.
Hey, I promise I have not talked to any of these people. This is all them.
That's funny.
I find it really hard to believe nowadays.
I wish I've
Do,
spoken to James Gunn.
do you last question for me on the Guardians thing? Do you think that they're going to do another one at some point? Because the post credit scene is like, oh, Groot ruined Christmas. Now we got to do another one.
Well, you see, James Gunn only a couple of months ago confirmed that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to be the end of the Guardians.
Yeah, but what does that mean? That means it's going to be a new team of Guardians, or they they split up somehow so that other people can then reassemble them later. That could mean a lot of things.
God Almighty forbid they all die.
No, I don't think that's going to
happen. But I'm in two minds, because on the one hand, yeah, I do think that line pretty much confirms there's going to be another Guardians holiday special, but that other quote from James Gunn kind of counter confirms.
Yeah. If anybody was going to die, I'd put a little bit of money on Rocket, but
I'm going to have to say Quill.
No, I don't think they'll kill him off because of all the characters that they could afford that would come back. He still has. You don't do a Guardians 3 and help him find Gamora to then kill him off. I think that's just me. I think if and one of the reasons I think that you could get rid of Rocket a little easier, it would pack an emotional punch, and it would mean different things for different characters. You could explore his story a little bit. There might be a reason for it, and also they introduced Cosmo in this in that Guardian special. So if you're speaking from a plot perspective and talking purely about talking animals, you just introduced your new talking animals. So one of them's got to
go. Yeah. I mean, when's Guardians 3 coming out?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember. Who can find it quicker?
May, isn't it? I think it's April or May.
I'm trying to look it up.
Okay.
Where is it coming? Let's see. It says it's going to come out in 2023. Right now it does.
Huh. Strange.
Expected May 5th.
Aha. Mm-hmm. Well, gonna have to wait till then, I suppose. Which sucks.
But yeah, I liked it. I thought it's just a fun little addition. It did feel shorter than Werewolf by Night, and I would say Werewolf by Night was better, but Werewolf by Night was also riskier. Like you didn't. This was just kind of a continuation of characters that we'd already seen, so it was good, but it wasn't like, oh, this was the best thing ever. It was solid,
fun.
Yeah, and so that made it good. But I thought Werewolf by Night, if you're comparing special presentations in terms of runtime and characters and things like that, it was a better offering. But they were both really good.
Yeah. Now to wait for the X-Men presentations. I'm really hoping that rumor was true after Werewolf by Night. I really hope it's true.
Oh, now we just need to get Roxanne to get through her BBC stint so she can watch some of these things and give us her hot take on this stuff.
Yeah.
See what I can do? I've got an entire Christmas to go through.
There you go.
But yeah, honestly, Marvel this year has been really good.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. And I think 3 phases worth of content buys them a little bit of goodwill and patience.
Oh, definitely.
Comes to phase 4 and where they're going. So
yeah, like Moon Knight started off this year very, very strongly, and then Miss Marvel picked up the pace, kept it going. She-Hulk was just brilliant, and of course the films this year. Love and Thunder, Multiverse of Madness, and Wakanda Forever. Perfect.
Yeah,
And Guardians, a fun way to end it.
Yep.
It was a fun way to wrap up this year.
I would agree.
But roll on Phase 5 and Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yeah, that's going to be bonkers.
Which is a whole 2 months away. Ah!
Oh, gosh. Is it only 2 months away?
Yeah, I think it's the end of February.
Yeah. Wow, that's still really soon.
Hang on. I'm going to take a... I'll take a look for this one.
Okay.
Cool. If I could spell right. In the UK, it's the 17th of February.
Not too far then.
Nope, just under 2 months away. So, shall we wrap this one up?
Sure.
Let's.
Oh, awesome. So, if you've been here watching on Stereo Live, thank you all for watching for this last hour. Hope you've all enjoyed this special. If you're here on Stereo, please follow me at Sound Cameron, and Roxanne Roxrooney, and Rodney at the after credit scene. Or if you're on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Sound and Cameron. The sub button will be just below the video title. And if you click the vid title, you're going to see the description, in which is my link tree, which includes my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Stereo, and TikTok. And if you go below the link tree, you're going to see Roxanne's website and YouTube, as well as Frost's website and YouTube, and Rodney's YouTube channel, the after credit scene. And that's going to do it for this final Marvel stream of the year.
All right.
Which is kind of insane. So, yeah. Thank you all for watching this week. I'll see you next week with another stream, and tomorrow with another YouTube video. Goodbye, and Rodney, have a very good Christmas.
Hey, you guys
Have a great Christmas.
Should I say Happy Christmas instead of Merry Christmas?
Either or.
Okay.
Anything.
If I've learned anything from Harry Potter, it's that it's Happy Christmas for you guys, not Merry Christmas.
We do Merry Christmas.
Yeah. We use both at times.
Well, hey, and I expect both of you to be cheering for the U.S. on Tuesday, since we're not playing Wales.
Oh, yeah.
No,
100%. And on that, guys, I shall say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.